This is the story of Takeru Oyama, a boy whose life goal is about as deep as a puddle. He just wants to live the perfect high school life surrounded by cute girls. Armed with dreams bigger than his brain and luck worse than a cat stuck in a tree, Takeru joins Tenbi Academy, a school that used to be for girls only but now lets in guys too. He thinks it will be heaven. Spoiler, it is not. Instead of peaceful days and sweet romances, Takeru finds himself dodging fists, flying kicks, deadly magic attacks, and angry girls who hit harder than trucks. Half the time he is getting smacked for things that are totally his fault, like walking into bathrooms without checking. Before we dive deeper into this idiot's beautiful mess of a life, make sure to subscribe because surviving Tenbi Academy is hard, but missing this kind of story would be even harder. The story starts with a girl walking towards somewhere important. In her mind, she feels very happy because she is about to meet her childhood friend named Takeru Oyama. She remembers that Takeru is 1 year younger than her, and they used to train together at the same dojo when they were small kids. But after some time, Takeru went to a boarding middle school, and for 3 long years, they had no chance to meet or even talk on the phone. The girl then shares her name, Haruko Amaya. She is now a second-year student in high school and proudly serves as the vice president of the student council. Haruko feels very excited to see Takeru again. She imagines that you must have grown tall, become very smart, and turned into a top student. When she arrives at his house, she finds his door open. Curious, she steps in, calling his name. Takeru, caught half-dressed, tells her to wait, but stubborn Haruko walks in anyway. Flustered, Takeru trips into a pile of boxes that collapse toward Haruko. He shields her just in time, but awkwardly, his hand lands on her juicy melons. Furious and blushing, Haruko yells at him for standing half-naked like an idiot. She pushes him away in frustration. However, after a moment, her anger softens. She helps him up, smiling and teasing that he's still the same silly boy. Later, the two of them walk toward the school together. On the way, Haruko asks why he chose Tenbi Academy. Takeru cheerfully admits it's because it's now co-ed after being at girls-only school, a place he hopes will be full of fun and girls. Hearing this silly answer, Haruko feels very disappointed and calls him an idiot. They reach school and Haruko warns Takeru that Tenbi Academy is not like normal schools. Takeru, curious, asks how it is different. Haruko explains that the school has special competitions, martial arts events, and even dance festivals like the famous Maken Festival. Takeru daydreams about dancing with girls, making Haruko scold him again. Just then, an announcement calls student council members to a meeting. Haruko says a quick goodbye and hurries away to take care of her duties for the entrance ceremony. Takeru, now left on his own, decides to make his way to the gym where the event will happen. On the path to the gym, a crazy scene unfolds in front of him. 2 second-year students, Garrett Kimiwa and Azuki Shinatsu, are locked in a noisy and ridiculous fight. Azuki, easy to spot with a small bandage always stuck on her nose, is full of fire and energy. These two are not even fighting for anything serious, they are just battling over a silly teddy bear. Kimiwa swings her attacks wildly, looking more like a raging chicken than a serious fighter. Her moves are sloppy and full of noise but empty of any real skill. Azuki, on the other hand, fights smart. She dodges and strikes in a way that makes Kimiwa look even more pathetic, almost like a big, clumsy oaf trying to catch a squirrel. Near the madness, Takeru notices something strange up in a tree. Sitting calmly on a branch is a small, blonde-haired girl named Himigami. She looks peaceful, as if she was watching a boring TV show. Unknown to Takeru, she has a Shikigami partner named Kabuzuchi sitting right there with her, but Takeru, poor guy, has no idea because he cannot see the spirit yet. Azuki delivers a strong kick that knocks Kinua's sword flying through the air. The sword speeds toward Himigami, forcing her to fall off her tree perch. She crashes straight onto Takeru, and their lips accidentally touch in a clumsy and awkward kiss. Himigami immediately gets furious, her eyes burning with anger at Takeru. But the moment she notices a strange mark glowing on Takeru's chest, her anger fades and she backs off without saying anything else. Takeru, so confused and embarrassed, quickly grabs this lucky chance and runs away. He has no idea that because of the strange mark on his body, Himigami now secretly sees him as her mortal enemy. During the entrance ceremony, the school principal, Minori Rokuju, steps up to speak. Minori is cheerful but also looks like the kind of person who hides crazy ideas behind a bright smile. She explains that students who can control their element and claim one of the 8 legendary Maken will have a great future ahead of them. Takeru stands there, completely lost. None of this talk about Maken or elements makes any sense to him. It feels like the principal is speaking a secret language that only smart students can understand. To help everyone understand better, Minori asks Kimiwa and Azuki to give a demonstration. But those two, still acting like spoiled kids after their earlier fight, just mess around and tease each other like immature clowns. Minori, tired of their nonsense, decides to pick someone else. Just then, Himigami volunteers, stepping forward with a cold, confident smile. But instead of choosing a proper match, she picks Takeru as her opponent. Takeru tries to refuse, wanting no part in this madness, but all the other students start shouting and pressuring him. With no way out, he finally agrees to the fight. Before they start, Himigami whispers to Takeru that they would only pretend to fight. Takeru feels a little relieved. He thinks maybe it won't be so bad. What he does not know is that Himigami has a sneaky plan to attack him for real. She secretly summons one of her shikigamis named Ikajiki, ready to unleash it against him. At first, both pretend to fight harmlessly, but then Himigami suddenly tries to strike for real, aiming to crush him with the power of Ikajiki. Before she can hurt him badly, a mysterious woman rushes in and blocks the attack. Everyone watches, shocked as this woman uses one of the legendary 8 Maken. She looks powerful for a moment, but quickly grows weak and collapses onto Takeru. The woman wakes up, wraps her arms around Takeru, like he is her long-lost treasure, and refuses to let go. Haruko storms over, confused and annoyed, asking who this strange girl is. The woman cheerfully introduces herself as Inaho Kushiya and proudly announces that from today onward, she will protect Takeru as his fiancé. After class ends, Haruko marches straight to Takeru's room. She wants to ask him about the crazy things Inaho said earlier. Opening the door, she's shocked to find Inaho already inside, looking way too comfortable. It turns out Takeru and Inaho are sharing the room approved by the principal because it's larger than usual. Before Haruko can react, things get worse. Himigami is there too, deciding she'll live with Takeru as well. Refusing to be left out, Haruko grabs her stuff and storms in, declaring it's her duty as dorm superintendent to keep them all in line. The next morning, Takeru steps out of the room feeling half asleep and heads for the bathroom. He opens the bathroom door without thinking and freezes in shock. Inside, Himigami is pulling up her panties. Takeru, like a fool, blurts out that they are black. Himigami's face turns red with embarrassment and pure rage. She accuses him of being a filthy pervert, and without giving him a chance to escape, she shocks him with a strong burst of electricity. Later, the group gathers for breakfast. Takeru still sits there holding his eyes dramatically. Haruko, ignoring his drama, tells him to eat quickly or they will all be late for school. Takeru starts eating and immediately loves the food. Haruko's face lights up with happiness, feeling proud that Takeru likes her cooking. Himigami comments that the food is really good and asks if Haruko cooked it, especially for Takeru. Hearing this, Haruko blushes hard and tries to deny it. They all glance at the clock and realize they are running very late. In a panic, the 4 of them rush toward school. The 3 girls manage to reach the gate just in time, but poor Takeru struggles behind like a lost puppy. Seeing this, Himigami decides to help. She calls out Kagezuchi, who boosts Takeru high enough to clear the gate, making him land awkwardly but safe. Later in the classroom, Takeru and Inaho walk in together. Every classmate stares at them like they are part of a soap opera, still remembering the chaos from the entrance ceremony. Homeroom starts and their teacher, Tamika Amato, who looks too relaxed to be trusted, announces that today will be the day for physical checkups. Girls will go first. Takeru and his classmate, Kengo Yusui, hear this news and their minds dive straight into the gutter. Acting like bad cartoon villains, they fake stomach aches and ask permission to leave the class. Instead of heading to the bathroom like decent people, they sneak behind the infirmary, planning to peek at the girls during their checkups. They even climb a tree like 2 sad little monkeys. From up there, they realize they are not alone. They both had the same dirty plan. However, karma hits them fast. Standing right above them is Himigami, who knows exactly what these idiots are trying to do. Without mercy, she gives them a powerful double kick on their faces, sending them crashing down. Both boys get so scared of her fierce anger that they crawl back to their room crying inside. Kagezuchi, worried about Himigami losing control again, asks if she still feels hatred toward Takeru. But Himigami admits that she does not feel the same deep hatred for Takeru anymore. Something inside her heart has already started to change. Later, it is time for the male students to go through their physical checkup. All the boys start acting weird and starstruck when they see a beautiful school nurse, Aki Meiju. She is the one doing the checkups, and her beauty makes half the boys forget how to speak properly. When it is Takeru's turn, he steps up nervously. His checkup is not just normal. The Karanbo, a machine that scans and analyzes the student's Maken, checks him. But something strange happens. The Karanbo cannot find any Maken that matches with Takeru. Just when Haruko finds out about this weird result, she immediately rushes to the principal's office. Gen Taveyashi, the inventor of the Karanbo, also could not believe it. For 10 years, the machine has worked perfectly, but now, for the first time, it fails. And Takeru is not the only one. There are 3 other students who the Karanbo also fails to read properly. One of them is Inaho, but Minori, the principal, is not worried about her, because Inaho already has a Maken. Another is a first-year student. Takeru sits there, completely confused. He does not understand why everyone is acting like not having a Maken is the end of the world. Minori patiently explains that from now on, a student's Maken is not just a weapon, but also their shield. Maken is used for fighting, defending, and even for school activities. Without it, students are almost helpless. Later, when only Minori and Jen remain in the principal's office, their conversation turns serious. Jen mentions that he found something else interesting. Takeru is the son of one of their old teachers. Jen even points out how much Takeru looks like him. They also discuss Inaho and the powerful Maken she carries called Kamuto. Takeru asks Haruko if she can give him and Inaho a tour around the school so they can choose a club to join. Haruko agrees and they all start visiting different clubs together. During the tour, Takeru gets amazed at how the students use their Maken skills in each club. Every club looks lively and full of action. Students show off their powers proudly, some looking cool and some just looking like show-offs trying too hard. After they finish visiting the clubs, Takeru finally makes a decision. His choice is the worst possible one. He says he wants to join the Pin-Up Girl Photo Club. Inaho, sticking to Takeru like glue, quickly says she will join it too. Haruko, imagining the disgusting and creepy things these two might end up doing in that club, immediately shuts down their plan. She refuses to let Takeru join something so ridiculous. Instead, she suggests that Takeru join a much better club, the Kenkaibu Club. She explains that it is like Tenbi Academy's public order team, keeping peace and discipline around the school. Haruko proudly tells them that she is the president of the club and even Himigami is a member. Hearing that two powerful girls are involved makes Takeru feel a little nervous. He does not make a decision right away. Feeling a bit overwhelmed, he asks for some time to think about it. The next morning brings yet another disaster for poor Takeru. Haruko finishes her early morning jogging and comes home, feeling fresh and ready for a bath. In her mind, she remembers that Takeru promised to think about joining her club and would tell her later. She goes straight into the bathroom and gets undressed. Meanwhile, Takeru steps in the bathroom area and begins brushing his teeth nearby without paying much attention to anything. Without warning, Haruko suddenly opens the bathroom door to grab her shampoo. Standing right there in front of her, Takeru accidentally sees her without any clothes on. Haruko's face instantly fills with rage. Without holding back, she shouts at Takeru, reminding him loudly how many times she warned him to be careful around the bathroom. Then she grabs the shampoo bottle and throws it right into his face to make sure he remembers his mistake this time. Feeling guilty and wanting to fix things, Takeru later asks Haruko at school about the security committee. Haruko, serious and proud, explains that the leadership system at Tenbi Academy is divided into two parts, the Security Committee and the Magical Enforcer Committee, known as the Madu Shikubu. Takeru listens carefully as Haruko tells him that the Security Committee's main mission is to make sure that duels between students stay fair, clean, and safe. They also protect any student who gets into trouble during fights. Just when things seem normal, a boy suddenly jumps out from the bushes nearby. He says he heard everything and proudly introduces himself. His name is Kengo Yusui, a first-year student. He confidently stretches out his hand to shake hands with Takeru's memory quickly flashes back. This is the same clown who sat with him in the tree yesterday, trying to peep at the girls during a health checkup. Thinking the worst, Takeru believes that Kengo is trying to grab the juicy melons of Haruko. Acting fast, Takeru charges forward to save her. But because he is a disaster magnet, he trips and accidentally ends up pressing her juicy melons himself. Not long after, another fight breaks out at school. This time, Mizuki faces a first-year boy named Kai Kuragasa. Acting like a complete spoiled brat, Kai boldly announces that if he wins the duel, Azuki must become his girlfriend. Azuki, full of fire, charges at him without wasting a second. She throws a strong punch straight toward his face, but it does not knock him down. Instead, Kai shows off by using his Maken called Full Metal, which makes his whole body as hard as steel. With his body tougher than a brick wall, Kai keeps attacking non-stop, forcing Azuki into a very difficult situation. Takeru watches from the side, feeling more and more upset. Seeing a guy beating up a girl in front of everyone makes his blood boil. The girls around him quickly grab him, trying to hold him back so he doesn't cause more problems. Not willing to sit still, Takeru uses every bit of strength he has, breaks free from their grip, and rushes into the fight. He jumps in just in time and blocks the next heavy attack from Kai. However, the power behind Kei's punch is no joke. Takeru ends up getting thrown away like a ragdoll. Azuki, spotting her chance, targets Kei's mouth. Since Kai, being the overconfident fool he is, forgets to harden it with his Maken, the blow knocks him out cold on the spot. Azuki walks over to thank Takeru, but Haruko cuts in and scolds him for his reckless behavior. Takeru admits that the girls in the school are strong, but says he still believes in fair fights. Haruko reminds him that ensuring fairness is exactly what the Kenkabu is for. Hearing this, Takeru finally decides to join the Kenkabu. Later that day, Himigami finds herself thinking about the moment when Takeru blocked Kei's attack. She cannot help but feel surprised. Somehow, the strength Takeru showed felt familiar, almost like something she had seen long ago. Other than Takeru and Inaho, their classmate Kengo also decides to join the Kenkabu. To welcome the new members, the club holds a party at the school's hot spring. The welcome party is not small. Members from the Kenkabu, the Student Council, and the Magical Enforcer Committee, the Madu Shikubu, all show up. Most of them are girls, and altogether they form a group called the Madu Kenkei Kiku, better known as Maken Ki. After the party, the real work begins. As new members, Takeru, Inaho, and Kengo have to undergo different types of training. To help them learn faster about Maken, the Student Council President Furon Takaki and the Treasurer Yuka Amato take charge of teaching them. Later, they go through Himigami's training, which is way tougher than it sounds. Poor Takeru ends up with his body aching everywhere that night. Seeing him in pain, Inaho offers to give him a massage. Haruko, burning with jealousy, quickly jumps in and insists on helping too. Both girls start massaging Takeru, while Himigami, sneaking nearby, watches everything with a serious face. Himigami keeps thinking about the strength Takeru showed when he blocked Kei's attack. She still feels curious and wants to find out the truth. To get closer, she invites Takeru out on a date. The next day, they meet at a town square, both unaware that Haruko, Inaho, and Kengo are secretly following them like two nosy spies. During their trip to the market, Himigami gets distracted by all the pretty things at the shops. She buys so much stuff that poor Takeru is forced to carry all her bags, looking like a walking shopping cart. When Himigami tries on clothes, she suddenly wonders why the scent of Takeru feels familiar, almost like the smell of her older brother. After a while, they decide to rest and eat. They pick a small cafe where they get a surprise. Azuki, who secretly works part-time there, is serving tables. She turns bright red after seeing Takeru with Himigami. Feeling embarrassed, Azuki warns Takeru not to tell anyone about her part-time job. After eating, they go to the river to enjoy the view. Himigami relaxes so much that she forgets the real reason she came to investigate Takeru. Realizing she wasted too much time, she suddenly acts serious again and forces a moment to check the mysterious mark on the chest of Takeru. Out of nowhere, three annoying men appear: Biyu Tanaka, Ei Kobayashi, and Shizuki Yamada. They proudly introduce themselves as members of the Himigami fan club, just like Haruko and Inaho. These clowns have been secretly following Takeru and Himigami during their whole outing. Himigami, clearly fed up, wastes no time. She uses her Maken Yasakani to summon two of her Shikigami. With a single command, she throws the three idiots straight into the lake like trash being tossed out of a window. Just when things start to calm down, Hebama head Takeru, a smug and cocky fighter, steps forward and challenges Himigami to a fight. He attacks Himigami wielding his weapon called Blade Snake. Himigami dodges easily, making Hebama look like a fool swinging at air. She immediately guesses that he must be from the secret group Kamigari. Hebama brags that he is not an official member yet, but says that if he can defeat her, the organization will surely accept him. Hebama launches another attack. Himigami tries to block it, but this time poor Takeru gets caught in the middle and takes the hit. Because of this distraction, Himigami loses her focus and both she and Takeru get slammed by the next move of Hebama and are thrown into the lake together. During the chaos, their lips accidentally meet underwater. After a few awkward moments, they finally climb out, dripping wet and red-faced. Haruko, Inaho, and the others immediately notice something strange. Takeru looks different, like something inside him has changed. Hebama charges again, thinking he has the upper hand, but this time Takeru moves first. With one clean and powerful kick, Takeru knocks Hebama down like he is swatting a fly. In that moment, the mysterious mark on Takeru's chest appears once again, glowing strongly. Watching all of this, Himigami realizes something shocking. The strength and abilities of Takeru are exactly like her older brother. Takeru, confused and tired, wonders what just happened because he cannot even remember his own actions. Himigami walks up to him and softly tells him that he saved her. Without any warning, she leans in and returns the earlier kiss to Takeru. Haruko, Inaho, Kengo, and even the soaked fan club fools Tanaka, Kobayashi, and Yamada stand there in pure shock and horror, completely losing their minds. Annoyed with how Takeru keeps finding ways to embarrass himself, Haruko tells him that from now on, he should make his own lunches. No more depending on others to save him from his foolishness. Later, Azuki helps judge an arm wrestling match between security committee member Chacha Akaza and a male student. The match looks more like a comedy show. Soon after, the student council hears about a new problem, random attacks happening on school grounds. Victims are left confused with no memory of who attacked them. Furin and the student council treasurer Yuka Amato take quick action. They assign Takeru and Yuruchi Minaya, a serious member of the security committee, to investigate these strange attacks. Meanwhile, Haruko and the student council secretary, Kimi Sato, handle the boring but important task of negotiating the yearly budgets with the other clubs. Yuruchi and Takeru start investigating, and after hours of asking questions and gathering clues, Takeru's stomach starts growling loudly, making it impossible for him to focus. Seeing this, Yuruchi kindly gives him a snack to eat while they rest. After finishing his food, Takeru leaves Yuruchi for a moment to get some water. He walks a little further and suddenly meets a female student named Kumi Amio. Kumi approaches him and says she knows he is looking for the person behind the attacks. She acts friendly and helpful, and Takeru, being the easy target he is, immediately believes her without thinking twice. But when Takeru tells her his name, the situation changes. Kumi quickly uses her Maken called Nephila, a yo-yo that shoots out sticky spider webs. Takeru, caught by surprise, realizes too late that he cannot move at all. He is already trapped inside a spiderweb zone created by Kumi, who shows her true sneaky colors. Just when Kumi gets ready to attack Takeru, Yuruchi suddenly arrives like a real Haruko. Using her own Maken, Yuruchi strikes back again and again, trying to stop Kumi. But when Takeru foolishly says her name out loud, Yuruchi also gets caught inside the sticky spiderweb trap. Now both of them are stuck and helpless. It becomes clear that Kumi is the one behind all the random attacks on the students. She had been hiding her true face all along. Kumi attacks Yuruchi directly. Takeru thinks about calling for help, but Yuruchi quickly tells him not to. She does not want to disturb their other teammates unless it is absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, Haruko waits for any message from Takeru, but nothing comes. She starts feeling worried. Guessing that something is wrong, Haruko wastes no time and moves out to search for Takeru and Yuruchi herself. When Kumi attacks again, Yuruchi tries her best to block it, creating a burst of energy that Haruko spots from far away. With the help of another student, Haruko quickly reaches the location. And because Kumi already knows her name, she tries to trap Haruko too using her spiderweb Maken. Unlike the others, Haruko is no fool. Her strength completely ignores the sticky trap, making Kumi's plan fall apart instantly. Haruko demands to know why Kumi is doing all this. Kumi remembers some high-ranking people in Maken Kai who gave her headaches in the past. Her real goal is simple and foolish. She wants to fight against the high officials of Maken Kai to satisfy her own grudges. Haruko, hearing such a selfish reason, gets angry. Without wasting another second, she pulls out her own Maken Murakumo, the Heavenly Blade. It is one of the 8 legendary Maken, feared for its destructive power. Using this mighty weapon, Haruko quickly disables Kumi's Maken power completely. Kumi, desperate, attacks again, but this time Haruko easily destroys her Maken with one clean strike and counters with a powerful blow, putting an end to her nonsense. She has proved once again that she is the strongest girl in the school. Meanwhile, the other members of Maken Kai start feeling worried because they still have not heard anything from Takeru. Himigami, staying calm as always, tells everyone not to worry. She reminds them that Haruko is already there. According to Himigami, nobody in the entire school can stand a real chance against Haruko when she gets serious. The next morning in class, Inaho accidentally falls asleep at her desk. In her dream, she remembers an event from 8 years ago during her training days. She sees young Takeru approaching her, and that is when they first met. When she wakes up, Takeru tells her that the Element Self-Practice class is about to start. Realizing she is the only girl left inside the classroom, Inaho quickly rushes out to change her clothes. Later in the class, Inaho watches Takeru with amazement. Takeru is able to control the fog inside a small glass ball, something that looks very tricky. Yuruchi casually mentions that it is easy for someone like Haruko to do, making it sound like no big deal. They also end up discussing what happened the other day, when Haruko defeated the crazy girl who caused all the trouble. Takeru tells Kengo and Yuruchi that Kumi does not remember attacking her victims. A little later, Minori calls Kai to the front of the class to show the students a new technique they are studying. Minori explains that anyone can perform this technique if they follow her instructions carefully, even if they do not have a Maken. When Minori uses the technique, the power is so extreme that Kai gets thrown across the room like a rag doll. Luckily, Kai manages to activate his Maken, Full Metal, just in time to protect his body from serious harm. If he had not done that, he would probably be scraping himself off the wall. In the afternoon, when Takeru is about to go home, Haruko stops him and asks for a favor. She needs him to go shopping because she still has work to finish at the student council office. Takeru agrees and soon spots Inaho nearby. Wanting some company, he asks her if she wants to join him. Inaho, without thinking twice, happily says yes because she also needs to buy some snacks for herself. On their way back to the dormitory, the rain keeps falling without any sign of stopping. They decide to rest for a while at the town square. Sitting there, Inaho quietly mentions that it was raining too in the dream she had earlier. Takeru, still clueless, wonders what Inaho really means. He struggles to remember the first day they ever met, but no clear memory comes to his mind. Inaho tries to give him some small hints, hoping he will remember. But no matter how much she tries, Takeru remains lost in confusion. He is clueless about his promise that he made with her during childhood. Feeling disappointed, Inaho gives up on trying to remind him about their past. She hides her sadness behind a small smile. After sitting for a bit longer, Takeru finally suggests that they should head home because the rain is getting even heavier. Inaho, feeling hurt from their conversation, quietly decides to stay behind for a little longer. She lets Takeru go home first, sitting alone in the rain with her memories. A few minutes later, Kengo notices that Inaho is wandering off alone toward the mountains. Inaho, lost in her own world, finds a small cat sitting quietly and picks it up with care. Back at the dormitory, Haruko arrives and immediately feels something is wrong when she learns that Takeru has returned but left Inaho behind. Himigami, hearing all the noise, steps out of her room with an annoyed look. She wastes no time and scolds Takeru, making it very clear that even if he cannot remember the past, he should at least respect the feelings of Inaho now. Feeling guilty and a little embarrassed after getting lectured, Takeru decides to go find Inaho. Outside the dormitory, he meets Kengo, who is just as useless as always but luckily knows where Inaho went. Following the directions from Kengo, Takeru heads for the mountains. Inaho, still chatting softly with the cat, hears his voice calling her from a distance. The cat, startled by the sudden noise, jumps out of her arms and runs straight toward Takeru. Trouble strikes immediately. A huge stone starts falling from the cliff above, aiming right for the little cat. Using the skills he recently learned, Takeru manages to grab the cat and protect it just in time, saving it from being crushed. Unfortunately, the disaster does not stop there. More rocks come crashing down from above. Seeing the danger, Inaho quickly uses her Maken Komudo, a gauntlet with great force, to save Takeru without any hesitation. Takeru manages to stand up, but just when he thinks they are safe, Inaho collapses to the ground, completely unconscious. With no other choice, Takeru lifts her onto his back and carries her carefully all the way back to the dormitory. The cat, now safe and happy, travels with them. They decide to name him Manji because of the cross-shaped mark on his forehead. Another crazy day ends with Takeru once again realizing he owes his life to the girls around him. Takeru cannot remember the promise he once made to Inaho when they were little kids. Long ago, they promised to marry each other when they grew up, but now, that memory has completely slipped from his mind. Not knowing the full story, Takeru still speaks from his heart. He says that no matter what happens, he will always protect Inaho. This satisfies Inaho. Hearing those words is enough to make her heart feel warm. A mercenary unit named Venus is slowly being gathered. Meanwhile, Jen hears from Kengo that Takeru had tried to break up a fight between two girls earlier. As expected, it did not go well, and Takeru ended up making things worse until Haruko had to step in and clean up the mess. Later, Jen finally gives Takeru his own Maken, right at the moment when trouble starts brewing again. A loud noise fills the air as a helicopter lands on school grounds, carrying the Venus members inside. Knowing exactly who is coming, Jen wastes no time and rushes off to find Minori. Venus is led by a man named Akaya Kodai, a smug and arrogant leader who thinks he owns the world. He is joined by his vice commander, Dimitra Midia, and other members including Syria Utsuka, Yang Ming, and the sneaky twin sisters, Eriru and Riru. They all gather and face Minori in her office. It is only at this moment that Minori remembers something important the secret group Kamigari had told her earlier that exchange students would be coming. She did not expect Akaya himself to show up, which immediately makes her suspicious. Akaya acts all serious and explains that Kamigari believes someone at Tenbi Academy is trying to bring back Yamada no Orochi, a terrifying ancient beast. He claims that his mission is to hunt down the one responsible. To make himself sound even more important, he says that over the last 2 years, Kamigari noticed strange and powerful changes in Amanohara. They are now convinced that the presence of a god's beast is hiding somewhere inside Tenbi Academy. Minori listens carefully but knows deep down that dealing with Venus is going to be a major headache because people like Akaya only bring chaos wherever they go. A few moments later, Jen arrives together with the school nurse Aki and the homeroom teacher Tomika. At the same time, the student council president, Furin Takaki, comes in with her group. They all gather in the office. When Akaya notices Furin Takaki, he quickly dumps the responsibility of handling Venus onto her, showing again what a lazy leader he truly is. Inside the office, Yuka Amado explains to everyone that Venus will be helping Maken Key with their tasks until summer break. The Venus members then begin introducing themselves one by one. When Syria Utsuka starts talking about herself, Kengo stares at her with wide eyes. He feels like he has seen her somewhere before, but his brain, as usual, struggles to put the pieces together. Yang Ming steps forward next. Instead of giving a proper introduction, she arrogantly says there is no need to introduce herself to the weak. Azuki, fire as always, does not like the rude attitude of Yang Ming one bit. She immediately challenges Yang Ming, ready to punch some manners into her. Since fighting between Maken Kai and Venus members is not allowed, they decide to settle their grudge another way through a game. A volleyball match is chosen, with 3 members on each team. Yuka organizes the teams carefully. Haruko, Azuki, and Chakcha will face off against Venus's vice commander Demitra Midia, the defensive wall Syria Utsuka, and the loudmouth Yang Ming. Ecchi steps in as the referee, looking way too excited about the drama. Kodama, Inaho, and Kumi set themselves up as the cheerleading squad, ready to shout their lungs out. The match gets underway and tension rises fast. Fura and Takaki, always one to raise the stakes, had already made a dangerous bet. If Maken Ki loses, they will be forced to join Venus. Both teams now play with everything they have, knowing that pride, honor, and their futures are on the line. Both teams play with everything they have, determined not to lose. The points keep stacking up on both sides, and the game gets hotter every minute. Yang Ming, never one to play fair, suddenly decides to use her Maken during the match. This dirty move makes Azuki furious, and she immediately retaliates, not willing to be outdone. Demitra, seeing the fight heat up, also decides to get serious. Not wanting to be left behind, Haruko brings out her own legendary Maken Murakumo. When Demitra tries to attack, Haruko counters strongly. The power of their Maken is so overwhelming that the entire gym almost gets blown apart. On the other side, Takeru somehow ends up looking like he is shielding Syria during the madness, making Syria mistakenly believe that he is trying to protect her like a knight in shining armor. The volleyball match finally ends in a draw because the whole place is nearly destroyed and nobody can even tell who won. Since there is no clear winner, both teams agree to recognize each other's strength and call it even. They even take a commemorative group photo, although some people clearly force their smiles. The next day, Venus members officially start attending classes. Syria joins Takeru's class, and he quickly finds out that she is not just a fighter, but also a famous teen net idol. Syria, thinking Takeru is brave and noble after what happened in the gym, starts to admire him without realizing she has fallen for a guy who trips over his own feet half the time. The twin sisters, Eriru and Riru, end up in Himigami's class. Yang Ming, with her giant ego, lands in the class of Azuki, while Demitra is placed in Haruko's class. Kumi shares her thoughts of Himigami about the twin sisters, Eriru and Riru. She describes both of them as if they are dolls, perfect and lifeless on the outside, but clearly hiding a lot of trouble underneath those sweet faces. Over at the sports ground, Yang Ming shows off again. She manages to beat both Garrett and Azuki in the long jump, wearing the biggest smug smile on her face like she just won an Olympic gold medal. On another side of the school, Haruko learns that Demitra is surprisingly very good at slicing onions. Haruko, seeing this softer side, tells Demitra to stop acting like a tough soldier all the time and actually try to enjoy life at Tenbi Academy for once. Later that day, the Venus members gather and chat about their first school experience. Syria, now completely smitten, says she wants to go on a date with Takeru. Her colleagues, being the nosy troublemakers they are, happily support the idea. They know that Takeru is usually surrounded by Haruko, Inaho, and Himigami, the 3 girls who treat him like their personal property. Knowing this, they start making sneaky plans to make sure the girls do not interfere with Syria's upcoming date. Syria carefully plans her date with Takeru for the next day. To make sure everything goes smoothly, Demitra is given the mission to keep Haruko, Inaho, and Himigami away from Takeru, no matter what. The next morning, Takeru goes to his classroom and finds a strange surprise. A love letter sits hidden under his desk. Takeru, panicking like he just found a ticking bomb, hides the letter quickly before Kengo can see it. During the lunch break, Takeru sneaks into the restroom to read the letter in secret. Unfortunately for him, Kengo, the king of sneaking, happens to be in the next cubicle, quietly listening to every word. Kengo, acting like a nosy spy, immediately runs off to report the news to Haruko and Himigami. Since the love letter has no name on it, Haruko starts wondering who might have written it, and her imagination runs wild. Not long after, Furin Takaki and Yuka appear with more bad news. Furin Takaki tells them there is a big mess behind the clock tower, a pile of tables stacked like some crazy fort. She then orders Haruko and Himigami to investigate who created the mess, cleverly distracting them from chasing after Takeru. Later in the afternoon after class, Inaho plans to invite Takeru to walk home together. But when she gets to his classroom, Takeru is already gone. Kengo, putting two and two together with his usual half-working brain, guesses that Takeru probably went to the meeting place mentioned in the love letter. This time, Kengo is actually right. Inaho starts looking for Takeru and soon finds paper bags filled with snacks scattered around. In the distance, she spots a big stuffed toy that looks strangely like Takeru. Inaho, sweet but a little too trusting, thinks the toy is actually Takeru, and that he brought all the snacks for her. She has no idea that the sneaky twins, Eriru and Riru, set this whole fake trap just to keep her busy and stop her from ruining Syria's planned date with Takeru. The twins watch everything from a distance, probably laughing at how well their silly plan is working. Takeru stands at the meeting place, feeling more and more confused. He wonders why the person who wrote the love letters still has not shown up. Doubts start filling his mind. He even thinks that maybe Kengo made the whole thing up just to prank him and waste his time. He waits for a little longer and Syria finally arrives and the truth becomes clear. Syria is the one who wrote the letter. Feeling a bit awkward but going along with it, Takeru agrees to go on a date with her. They stop for some snacks, but eating quietly becomes impossible. Many people passing by cannot stop staring at them, mostly because Syria's beauty grabs everyone's attention like a spotlight. A little while later, Syria leads Takeru to a large, fancy house, making the whole thing feel even more suspicious. Back at the pile of tables near the clock tower, Haruko and Himigami investigate the scene. Himigami quickly feels that someone is spying on them. It turns out that the culprit is none other than Yangming, who clearly has nothing better to do than act like a sneaky brat. Looking at the tables and the way they were stacked, Himigami immediately realizes it was all a trick to lure them there. Soon after, Inaho arrives there, still carrying the giant stuffed toy she thinks is Takeru. Confused, she wonders why Takeru behind her has been so silent all this time. Haruko has to break it to her. She's carrying a stuffed toy, not the real Takeru. Inaho finally notices the truth and looks crushed. Just then, Himigami's sharp-eyed Shikigami brings back a piece of paper stolen from Yang Ming's group. Thanks to it, they discover Takeru and Syria's final destination for the date. The information shocks them. It says Syria has taken Takeru to a shack for something called S&M Haruko and Inaho. Thinking the worst, panic and rush off to save him, believing Syria is about to do something extreme and crazy. Himigami stays behind to deal with Yang Ming, ready to shut down her nonsense. On the way, Dimitra tries to block Haruko and Inaho. But Dimitra, no matter how serious she looks, is no match when these two are determined. They easily get past her. Arriving at the old house, Inaho uses her make-in without hesitation and smashes down the door like a superhero. Inside, they find a very different scene from what they feared. Takeru sits there peacefully, just watching Syria sing and dance happily. It is finally revealed that S&M simply stands for song and music, not anything crazy like they imagined. Kengo and Takeru set up a stair under a window, full of childish excitement, dreaming about doing something wild and unforgettable. Kengo, pumped up like a bad action movie character, says that the real reason they came to Tenbi Academy was never to master make-in or become serious warriors. Their true goal has always been simple: enjoy school life, have fun every day, and live like kings. Takeru agrees without thinking twice. He adds that no matter how many obstacles come their way, they will never give up. To them, Tenbi Academy is supposed to be their personal heaven, not a boring training ground. The story flashes back to 3 days ago. Kengo gathers all the boys together for a serious meeting. He stands proudly and speaks about how unfair life has been lately. He points out that the boys are constantly being adjusted, restricted, and pushed aside by the girls. He asks if his situation feels right. All the boys, tired and frustrated, shout out that it is not right at all. Feeling like a true revolutionary leader, Kengo says that if they stick together and fight, they can take back their school freedom. In the present, inside the student council room, Kengo walks in dramatically with a huge stack of papers and slams them down in front of Furin Takaki, the student council president. Every paper carries signatures from the boys who agree with him. Furin Takaki looks confused and asks what all this is. Kengo proudly calls it the screams of the boys' souls, making it sound way more serious than it actually is. He explains that the boys at school are feeling angry because the girls have requested that swimming classes be separated by gender. The boys, of course, feel like they are being unfairly left out of the fun. Trying to act like a hero for the boys, Kengo suggests a brilliant idea: settle everything with a chicken fight competition in the school swimming pool. Furin Takaki, loving chaos more than peace, immediately approves the idea without thinking twice. This means the girls are now forced to show up in their swimsuits and fight in front of the boys during the competition. Furin Takaki happily takes the role of the judge, standing tall like some kind of queen ruling over the madness. Yuka grabs the microphone and serves as the commentator, making every small splash sound like a life or death event. Kumi becomes the official record keeper and writes down every result. The chicken fight competition heats up quickly. Both the boys and girls fight hard, but somehow, the boys manage to hold their ground and start doing better than expected. In the end, only Takeru and Syria are left standing in the competition. Syria, full of confidence, announces that she will now use her full strength. She tells Takeru to brace himself, warning him that he might not handle what is coming. Syria unleashes all her power, creating a massive wave in the swimming pool. Takeru, caught by the wave, starts moving forward with it, riding the force like a leaf in a storm. Haruko, watching from the sidelines, looks completely shocked by what she sees. Syria, feeling sure of her victory, encourages Takeru to attack. Demetra, thinking the win is in the bag, starts rushing forward too. But then something strange happens. Demetra notices a figure near the window and stops to look carefully. She realizes it is someone important, a person who changes everything. Seeing the new arrival, Takeru suddenly stops moving forward. Syria, too excited to notice, flies straight ahead like a rocket with no brakes and crashes right into Takeru. Haruko turns red with anger, seeing Syria cling onto Takeru like a happy cat finding a pillow. Syria starts teasing Takeru, trying to embarrass him even more in front of everyone. Demetra and Yang Ming, who are supposed to be helping Syria, get completely sidetracked and lose focus like amateurs. Takeru, seeing the perfect chance, moves quickly and swiftly grabs the headband of Syria, winning the match for his side. Yuka, acting as the official, announces loudly that Takeru Oyama has won the competition. The boys explode with joy, jumping and shouting like they just won a championship match. Meanwhile, the mysterious arrival watches everything unfold with a sly smile. Yang Ming, confused, asks Demetra why she suddenly stopped. Demetra simply says that the last member they were waiting for has arrived, and now they can move forward with their real mission. Later that day, boys and girls prepare for their co-ed swimming class. Takeru and Kengo, both looking overly excited, believe their hard work has finally paid off. They imagine a dream come true, swimming together with all the girls. Reality, however, crushes them instantly. When everyone arrives at the pool, all the girls seem to have disappeared into thin air. Not a single one can be seen. The boys' faces drop in pure horror. It turns out that Kadashiro Yusuya, another walking disaster, decides it is the perfect time to use his Maken, Chameleon. Using his ability, he turns all the girls invisible. He explains that the girls requested him to do it, and he, being the spineless fool he is, could not refuse them. Kengo, furious beyond words, blames Kadashiro Yusuya for ruining everything. Once again, the boys' dreams are destroyed, and the girls leave them standing there looking like complete idiots in front of the empty swimming pool. The next day, Takeru and Kengo relax under a tree, enjoying the quiet for once. Takeru, looking around lazily, notices a woman standing by a window. Kengo quickly pulls out his list of students, trying to find her name, but she is not listed anywhere, making him even more curious. At the same time, Furin Takaki speaks privately with Haruko. She informs her that another member of Venus has arrived at the academy. Furin asks Haruko to find this new member as soon as possible. Before they can even start looking, a voice surprises them. Meanwhile, Takeru and Kengo scramble to find the girl they saw earlier, but their search fails completely. It turns out that the girl is already standing calmly on the rooftop with Haruko. She is none other than Martha Minerva, the new member of Venus that Furin is talking about. Martha introduces herself to Haruko, Inaho, Furin, and Kumi, even showing off a little by revealing that she can sense everything around her even with her eyes closed. Takeru walks past two students who are busy teasing and provoking each other. They are Otoheim Yamato, known for her creepy manipulations, and Sho Takshinami, who looks way too confident for his own good. The two decide to settle their argument with a fight and drag Takeru into it, making him the unwilling witness. Takeru, with no way to refuse, helplessly agrees and tells Kengo to go inform someone before this mess gets bigger. Sho uses his Maken called Casto, a glove that can pull his opponents close in an instant. Otoheim uses her Maken called Dollhouse, which allows her to make a voodoo doll and control her enemies like puppets. The fight turns ugly fast. Sho Takshinami attacks first and manages to catch Otoheim by surprise. For a moment, it looks like he might actually win. Otoheim, with her usual smug attitude, just teases him, making Sho angrier and angrier. In his frustration, Sho charges again without thinking, and that is exactly when he falls straight into the trap of Otoheim. Otoheim uses her Maken, Dollhouse, perfectly, and Sho gets locked in place, unable to move even a muscle. Gaken, Otoheim's twin, announces proudly that Otoheim has already won the fight. Otoheim, not satisfied with just winning, starts trying to break Sho's arm like some villain from a bad movie. Takeru, not able to watch any longer, jumps in to try and stop her. Otoheim, always one step ahead, quickly traps Takeru too by making a puppet of him and putting it in her doll house. To her shocked, Takeru still manages to move even inside her Maken. showing that maybe her creepy tricks are not as perfect as she thinks. Takeru starts getting closer to her, but Otoheim squeezes his doll hard, trying to crush him before he can reach her. At that critical moment, Martha Minerva arrives out of nowhere. And just then, Otoheim's Maken power suddenly stopped, almost like someone pulled the plug on her creepy magic. Akaya also shows up, and it looks like he knows Otoheim well. It is revealed that Otoheim is no random troublemaker. She's actually the granddaughter of Auken, the chief of the Kamigari. Otoheim decides to retreat, and she leaves the area together with her twin, Huken. Martha Minerva then applies first aid to Sho Tachinemi, who is still recovering from his terrible defeat, and then turns to properly introduce herself to Takeru. The next day, Takeru gets summoned by Furin Takaki for an important talk about his behavior during the previous fight. Furin Takaki, always serious and sharp, reminds him that he still has not passed the element exam. She makes it very clear that if he fails again, he will be kicked out of the Kenkebu without any second chances. Later that afternoon, Martha Minerva steps in with a suggestion. She proposes that Takeru should have an overnight cram session to finally master his element. Martha organizes a slumber party at the dorm room with Haruko, Inaho, and Kodama, giving the evening a fun and noisy atmosphere. Meanwhile, poor Takeru heads off with Kengo to the shrine where they start training hard. Takeru repeats the same practice again and again until night falls, refusing to give up. After hours of trying and failing, he finally finds the right formula and succeeds in controlling his element. Nearby, Kengo notices something strange. There is a mark carved into a tree that looks exactly like the mysterious mark on Takeru's chest. Kengo asks if Takeru made the mark, but Takeru honestly has no idea if he did. Not far from them, Himigami keeps a close eye on the situation. However, she soon realizes that they are not alone. Martha Minerva, sneaky as ever, has been watching them from the shadows for a while. Martha shows herself, and Himigami feels a shock when she notices that Martha can see her shikigamis and even the things she hides with magic. Martha calmly reveals that it is their mission to capture Himigami before she can break the seal of Amanohara. Kagazuchi tries to attack first, but Martha dodges his strike easily, making him look like a clumsy fool. Ikazuchi follows up with another attack, but it fails just as miserably. Himigami gets ready to fight seriously, knowing she cannot take Martha lightly. Martha, keeping her cool, says that she has no plan to fight today. She explains that their current job is to observe the Tembi students. One of the students who caught her attention is Takeru, who gives off the same spiritual waves as Himigami. Martha hints that Takeru might also be taken away by Kamigari one day, but says it is not happening yet. The next day arrives and good news follows. Takeru finally passes his element exam, saving his place in the Kenkebu and avoiding another disaster, at least for now. A few days later, Takeru gets summoned to the principal's office to discuss his Maken. Gen and Minori sit down with Takeru to explain the truth about his Maken. They tell him that his Maken, called Overblow, is different from most others. Instead of working on the outside like a normal attack, his power works internally. Overblow has the ability to mess up an opponent's Maken from the inside, forcing it to lose control and making the opponent completely powerless. There is a catch though. It only works if the opponent is actively using their Maken at the time. Without that, Takeru's special ability would be useless. Not long after, the members of Maken Key gather for a meeting about the upcoming summer training camp. Furin Takaki, with no shame at all, informs them that because of a serious lack of funds, everyone has to pay for the camp expenses out of their own pockets. This news hits the team hard, especially the ones who already spent their allowance and now have nothing but dust in their wallets. After the meeting, the group steps outside and spots Minori posting something on the bulletin board. It is a colorful poster advertising a Maid Cafe event, the same one where Azuki already works. The cafe is looking for extra helpers for a special limited-time event. Desperate for cash, the whole group decides without hesitation to apply for the jobs. Popularity of the Maid Cafe explodes overnight, but with the bigger crowds comes bigger chaos. Azuki, thinking it would be a normal workday, shows up at the cafe and nearly faints from shock when she sees a huge line of customers waiting outside. It is there that she finds out the other Maken Key members have already started working inside, trying their best to survive the madness. None of them realize that behind the scenes, Otoheim is quietly watching everything unfold. Otoheim, always plotting something shady, plans to conduct a secret drug trial during the chaos. She also has another reason. She wants to secretly test the true strength of Takeru without him knowing. In the middle of all this madness, Takeru learns something interesting. It turns out that Minori, Gen, and Aki have all been close friends since their high school days, which probably explains why they still act like a group of troublemakers even now. The meal orders keep pouring in at the Maid Cafe, turning everything into a mess of noise and confusion. Inaho, trying to help, accidentally bumps into Furin and Yuka as they walk inside. Takeru, seeing Inaho looking upset, quickly moves to console her, trying to lift her spirits even though the whole cafe feels like it is about to explode. Meanwhile, Chacha, never missing a chance to act like a clown, plays a wild joke about milk. Haruko, not in the mood for jokes, gets upset and storms out of the cafe. However, things take a dangerous turn. Otoheim, always scheming like a low-budget villain, secretly sends an unknown attacker to target Haruko. At first, everyone assumes that Haruko just needs a little time to cool off. Minutes pass, but Haruko still does not return, and the uneasy feeling grows. Seeing no other choice, Takeru decides to go out and search for her. Out in the open, Otoheim spots Haruko alone and sees the perfect opportunity to strike. Just then, someone attacks Haruko out of nowhere. Haruko quickly releases her Heaven Gate, trying to defend herself, but the enemy manages to destroy it with brutal force. The enemy strikes again, forcing Haruko to use her Murakumo ability to stay standing. Takeru, running as fast as he can, arrives just in time to block the next attack. Despite his best effort, the enemy's strength is overwhelming and Takeru gets knocked back easily. Just when things look bad, Azuki arrives like a storm. Using all her strength, Azuki smashes the enemy with a powerful attack, knocking them out cold. Soon after, Minori, Gen, and Aki show up to investigate the whole mess, and they all gather around the unconscious enemy. And when they remove the enemy's eye shield, they are shocked to discover that the so-called attacker is none other than Catherine, the cross-dressing manager of the Maid Cafe. Catherine, who already acts strange enough on a normal day, was not acting on his own. It turns out Catherine had been controlled by the Kamigari, just like many other victims. Jen explains that a few years ago, the secret organization Kamigari had tried to take over Tenbi Academy. The academy fought back with the power of their Maken, but many students still ended up under the control of Kamigari, including poor Catherine. Hearing this, Takeru remembers the other students they fought before were all pawns in the dirty games of Kamigari. Even though Otoheim fails in her current plan, she clearly has no plans to stop causing trouble. Soon after, her sister Kikyo arrives. She is sent by their grandfather. Unlike the others, Kikyo seems ready to fully support Otoheim and her twisted dreams, showing that the trouble for Tenbi Academy is far from over. The next day, just as Haruko is about to enter the school, someone suddenly abducts her and drags her deep inside the secret base of the Kamigari. Takeru and Himigami arrive at the Kenkaibu office, expecting to find Haruko there. They are surprised when they realize she is missing, even though she had left before them, saying she had something to do at the student council office. Realizing something is wrong, the two decide to search for Haruko. Himigami insists they should not inform the others, yet to avoid making everyone panic. Meanwhile, Haruko wakes up inside a strange place. She sees Otoheim, who is now being controlled by her own Maken. Takeru, still searching, runs into Inaho. She hands him a protective charm, worried about what happened to him recently. Inaho explains that even though her mission is to protect him, there are still moments when she cannot always be by his side. Far away, Jen remembers the old days when they were young Maken users and how Takeru's father always supported them. Both Jen and Minori worry because even after all this time, the Maken group is still battling against Kamigari. Minori believes that maybe their old teacher had already expected this future, and that is why he sent Takeru to Tenbi Academy. Suddenly, a strange woman approaches Takeru. She tells him that if he wants to save Haruko, he must go to Amanohara. She then introduces herself from the secret organization Kamigari, and then passes out. Without wasting a second, Takeru rushes toward Amanohara. When he arrives, he finds Kikyo waiting for him. Kikyo attacks without warning. Takeru struggles to dodge her attacks because of her incredible speed. Kikyo continues to pressure him, and memories of his mother's death flood his mind. Takeru is thrown against a giant stone that has the same carve mark as the one on his chest. Takeru remembers the teaching of his mother, who told him that true strength means protecting others. Emotions boil over inside him, causing a sudden burst of aura that shakes the ground around him. This ignites something in him, and his desire to protect lights up the Amanohara. Without meaning to, his energy stirs something dark. The spirit of Yamada no Orochi begins to awaken. The carve mark lights up with dark energy, and the same thing happens with all the carve marks. Himigami notices the similar carve mark on the tree glowing with strange light and immediately instructs Nojiki to head toward Amanohara to find out what is happening. Back there, Takeru starts absorbing the raw elemental energy pouring from Amanohara. Kikyo, spying on the scene, quickly guesses that this might be the evil energy of the sacred beast Yamada no Orochi awakening inside him. Soon, Takeru completely loses control of his senses. He leaves the big rock and begins heading back toward Tenbi Academy. On the way, he meets Nadzochi, but he no longer recognizes anyone friend or foe. Meanwhile, back at the Kamigari base, Otoheim reveals her true rotten plans to her brother Guken Yamato. She explains that the Kamigari plan to take over Ki completely once Takeru, in his uncontrolled state, ends up destroying Tenbi Academy. Otoheim, thinking she is some kind of evil mastermind, looks pleased with herself, not realizing that messing with Takeru will probably backfire in ways she cannot even imagine. Back at the schoolyard, chaos fills the air as Takeru appears under the control of the spirit of Yamada no Orochi. All the students are both shocked and terrified. Then, without warning, Takeru attacks them. Himigami and Azuki rush to the scene to protect the girls, but Takeru, lost in the madness, immediately targets them too. Inaho, Kengo, Yuruchi, Kimi, and Chaka also jump in to fight back, refusing to let their friend fall deeper into the darkness. Otoheim, hiding and watching from a safe distance like a coward, looks amazed by the chaos Takeru is causing. Haruko, trapped but far from helpless, calls out the Kamigari for their cowardice, exposing how they shamelessly manipulate the powers of innocent people like Takeru for their selfish goals. Soon after, the Venus members arrive to rescue Haruko. They quickly create a dimensional space to pull Haruko out of the danger zone and also plan a way to save Takeru from himself. Otoheim tries to move against them, but Akaya appears and coldly reminds her of the original orders from the higher officials. With no choice, Otoheim and her group are forced to retreat, once again running away without finishing what they started. Thanks to the powers of Eriru and Riru and their Jingu called Time/Space Key, Haruko is instantly teleported to the schoolyard. Meanwhile, Takeru keeps absorbing more and more elemental energy. The others grow more fearful, realizing that his body might not survive under such a heavy load. Suddenly, a portal opens above them and Haruko falls out, landing with her Maken Murakumo in hand. Everyone feels a wave of relief seeing Haruko return safely. Takeru attacks Haruko the moment he sees her, but Haruko stands her ground and counters. She then uses the power of Murakumo to slash through the dark influence and free Takeru from the control of Yamada no Orochi. Seeing Takeru return to himself, Haruko cannot stop crying out of relief. Just when things start to settle, Keikyo appears again, this time bringing her disciples with her. She boldly tries to recruit Takeru into the secret organization Kamigari, claiming that with his power, they could easily conquer Tenbi Academy one day. Takeru rejects her offer without even thinking twice. Meanwhile, Furen, Yuka, and the rest of Maken Ki refuse to stand by and watch. They charge after Keikyo. Realizing her team is too weak to face Maken Kai right now, Keikyo chooses to retreat. Before leaving, she throws one last dramatic line, saying she will never forget Takeru. The dust settles, and the members of Maken Ki return to their normal duties and everyday lives. The school finally feels like itself again, loud, messy, and full of energy. But for the students of Tenbi Academy, it is still the best kind of home they could ever have. And that is it for today. Make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next round of chaos and confusion. Drop a like if you enjoyed watching Takeru survive things he absolutely did not sign up for. Leave a comment and tell me if you think Takeru will ever have a normal day or is he just cursed forever.